I be damn wake up the next day with him. Didn't they have like a $50,000 reward out for this?
New footage from an Atlanta strip club has everyone talking because it shows Lil Woody and Derrick Groves, the same fugitive with the $50,000 bounty on his head, partying together like nothing's wrong. Let's dig into the details behind the video. The escape that had the whole South shook. Let's go back to May 16th, 2025, at the Orleans Parish Justice Center in New Orleans, Louisiana.
Me and my buddy was in the club with him. And y'all know I played too much. I was like, hey, that escaped from New Orleans prison right there. That nigga holler like, nah, that ain't him. I'm like, bro, that is him. He like, that ain't him.
Now, the Orleans Parish Justice Center, we're just gonna call it OPJC for short, has a reputation on the streets. And it ain't a good one, feel me? For years, decades even, this facility been getting called out by civil rights groups, legal advocates, basically anybody paying attention, as being dangerously understaffed, falling apart at the seams, and run like it's still the 80s. The infrastructure crumbling, the oversight lacking hard, security protocols that should have been updated ages ago, still operating on some ancient system. It's the type of spot where, if you a convicted criminal waiting to get shipped to a max security prison, you might start thinking, hold up, I could actually slide up out this joint. And that's exactly what 10 inmates, including Derrick Groves, decided to do on that May night. This wasn't no spur of the moment move, no spontaneous, let's just try it type situation. Nah, this was calculated, player. This was planned out to the T. These dudes took their time, peeped the patterns, identified every weak spot in the security, and when the timing was right, they executed one of the most audacious jailbreaks the South has seen in a minute. How'd they pull it off? Well, they used knotted bed sheets and improvised climbing tools. Yeah, like some old school prison movie type stilo, to scale inner walls that should have been impossible to climb. They moved through corridors that should have been monitored but apparently wasn't. They breached a perimeter fence that was supposed to keep their asses contained. And then, under cover of darkness, they straight up vanished into the New Orleans streets. Just like that, 10 men, gone, disappeared into the night like smoke. The authorities was caught slipping hard. The media went ballistic. And the public? Man, the public was both scared and low-key fascinated at the same time. Because escapes like this don't happen in 2025, beloved. This is the age of surveillance cameras everywhere, facial recognition tech, GPS tracking on everything, and coordinated multi-agency task forces with unlimited resources. How do 10 dudes just walk out of a major city jail and ghost like they never existed? But here's what made Derrick Groves the most high profile of these 10 escapees. First off, homie was convicted of double murder. Not no petty theft, not no assault charge, murder, fam. 2 counts of second-degree murder from a Mardi Gras Day shooting in 2018 that left 2 dudes dead in what prosecutors described as a targeted hit related to gang beef in New Orleans' 9th Ward. Groves kept saying he was innocent throughout the whole trial, but the jury wasn't buying it. They found him guilty, and he got hit with life in prison without the possibility of parole. At just 28 years old, Derrick Groves was staring down spending the rest of his natural life locked down. But there's more layers to his story, and this is where it gets even deeper. Derrick Groves is the grandson of Kim Groves, a woman who became a tragic symbol of police corruption in New Orleans. Back in 1994, Kim Groves filed a complaint about a New Orleans Police Department officer for brutality. And what happened? That dirty cop, in straight retaliation, literally ordered a hit on her, put a price on a civilian's head for daring to report him. The scandal rocked the whole city, exposed deep-seated corruption within the NOPD, and left a family, including a young Derrick Groves, traumatized and scarred by a system that was supposed to protect them, but instead destroyed them. So Derrick Groves grew up in the shadow of that tragedy, in New Orleans' 9th Ward, one of the city's most hood neighborhoods, where gang beef, poverty, and systemic neglect been creating cycles of trauma for generations. His first serious charge came in 2014 when he was just 17 years old, attempted second-degree murder. He beat that case after a contentious trial, but it was clear that his path was already being shaped by the environment around him and the legacy of violence that had touched his bloodline. Fast forward to 2018, and the Mardi Gras Day shooting sealed his fate, life without parole. And here's where bureaucratic incompetence enters the picture in a major way. Instead of being immediately transferred to Angola State Prison, Louisiana's maximum security facility where someone with his conviction should have been, Groves remained at the Orleans Parish Justice Center due to what officials vaguely called administrative delays. Months turned into years, and Groves sat there in a facility that was never designed to house long-term high-security inmates surrounded by other frustrated prisoners with plenty of time to think about his situation and maybe, just maybe, start plotting something major. When the escape happened on May 16, 2025, it exposed every single systemic failure that critics had been screaming about for years. The FBI got involved heavy. The U.S. Marshal Service Congress mobilized their whole operation. A $50,000 reward was posted up. Groves' mugshot was everywhere, on news broadcasts, social media feeds, wanted posters in gas stations, and corner stores across the South. That face, a lanky 6'2" frame, intense eyes, distinctive tattoos, became one of the most recognizable images in the region. No cap. The manhunt that followed was massive. Tips flooded in from all over. Texas truck stops, Georgia motels, Tennessee highway rest areas. People claimed they spotted Groves everywhere and nowhere at the same time. And while authorities managed to bag the other 9 escapees within a matter of weeks, Derrick Groves remained elusive as hell. Week after week, month after month, he stayed one step ahead of federal agents, state police, and local law enforcement agencies that was burning through millions of dollars in overtime, surveillance operations, and coordination efforts. How does somebody do that in 2025? How does a wanted fugitive with his face plastered everywhere manage to evade capture for damn near 5 months straight? Authorities speculated that Groves was leveraging familial connections and underground networks throughout the South, moving from safe house to safe house, relying on distant relatives and street connections who was willing to provide shelter, food, money, and most importantly, silence. In communities that have historically had beef with law enforcement, where the code of no snitching runs deeper than the Mississippi River, someone like Groves could potentially find enough solid people willing to look the other way or actively help him stay ghost. The dude became something of an urban legend during those months. Straight up, stories circulated. Rumors spread like wildfire. Some people claimed he had fled to Mexico. Others said he was hiding out in rural Texas, living off the land like he was in some action movie. There were unconfirmed sightings, grainy security camera footage that may or may not have been him, tips that led absolutely nowhere. Derrick Groves had beaten the system, at least, temporarily. And that fact both frustrated law enforcement and, in a strange way, captured the hood's imagination. But here's the thing about being on the run. It's exhausting as hell, fam. It's paranoid. You can't trust nobody completely. You can't stay in one spot too long. You can't live normally. You're constantly looking over your shoulder, constantly wondering if today is the day someone recognizes you, if today is the day that knock on the door comes. For most people, that kind of stress would be unbearable. You turn yourself in just to escape the psychological torture of living like a hunted animal. But apparently Derrick Groves wasn't feeling that stress. Or if he was managing it in a very particular way. Because according to what we're about to get into, Groves allegedly decided that what he really needed during his time as a fugitive was a night out at an Atlanta nightclub. And that decision, if it really went down, would become one of the wildest anecdotes in an already unbelievable saga. The night everything got real at an Atlanta spot, Atlanta, Georgia, the city too busy to hate, the place that gave us Outkast, T.I., Ludacris, Future, Migos, Young Thug, 21 Savage, and countless other hip-hop legends who changed the whole game. A city where the culture runs deeper than deep, where the music scene is larger than life, where strip clubs ain't just places to party. They're straight-up cultural institutions where deals get made, where rappers scout the next big thing, where the city's nightlife pulses with an energy that's uniquely Atlanta and can't be replicated nowhere else. And right in the heart of all this is Mechanicsville, a historic black neighborhood that's become synonymous with Atlanta's trap music movement. This is the neighborhood that birthed Young Thug and 21 Savage. This is where the raw, unfiltered sound of modern Atlanta hip-hop was created from the ground up. But Mechanicsville is also a hood that's seen its share of violence, poverty, and the kind of street life that makes for compelling music but difficult living conditions for the people actually trying to survive out there. And it's in this neighborhood that Kenneth Copeland, better known as Lil Woody, grew up and built his rap career from scratch. Born July 25th, 1991, Woody's path to hip-hop wasn't no fairy tale, feel me? Like many rappers from his hood, he had his own run-ins with the law for illegal machine gun possession, a serious federal firearms charge that landed him in the feds for over 4 years straight. But here's what makes Woody's story real as hell. Instead of letting prison break him, he used that experience as fuel for his art. Know what I'm saying? When he was released in 2019, he didn't go back to the streets. He went straight to the studio. He started channeling his experiences, the pain, the observations about the system, the struggles of trying to survive in hoods where opportunities are damn near non-existent, into raw, unfiltered rap music. His style is what you call gangster rap, but it ain't glorification, beloved. It's documentation, it's testimony. It's the kind of music that people who've lived similar lives connect with because it feels authentic, because it comes from a place of real street experience, not no studio gangster playing a role. By mid-2025, Woody had built up a respectable catalog, over 24 tracks, at least one full album, and a growing following on platforms like SoundCloud and Instagram. He ain't no mainstream artist. You won't hear his songs on top 40 free radio or nothing like that. But in Mechanicsville, in the hoods where he came up, Woody had built a solid reputation as someone who kept it 100, someone who spoke to the overlooked and forgotten, someone who represented what it meant to survive in a system designed to keep you down and out. He had even gotten recognition from bigger names in Atlanta's rap scene. Young Thug and 21 Savage had both acknowledged his work, which in Atlanta's hyper-competitive hip-hop landscape is like getting a cosign from the OGs. For an independent artist grinding it out, trying to build something sustainable, that kind of recognition matters heavy. It opens doors. It creates opportunities. It says, this person is legitimate and got street credibility. Now, it's important to note something here that's caused some confusion in the streets. There's another person named Kenneth Copeland, who goes by Woody or YSL Woody, who's been a witness in the Young Thug YSL trial. That's a different person entirely. Our Lil Woody, the rapper we talking about, ain't involved in that trial at all. He's just an artist trying to make music and stay out of trouble. But the name similarity would actually work in his favor when his story went viral, because people was already familiar with the name Woody from the trial coverage, so there was instant name recognition, even if folks was initially confused about which Woody was which. So there's Lil Woody in early October 2025, 34 years old, grinding away in Atlanta's music scene, staying in his lane, making his music, trying to build his career brick by brick. Just another independent artist doing what thousands of other independent artists are doing every day, working hard, hoping for a break, trying to survive in a competitive industry that don't show no love unless you already made it. And then came the night that would change everything for him. The night that would thrust him into the national spotlight for reasons that had nothing to do with his music whatsoever. The night, according to his viral Instagram story, when he allegedly came face to face with Derrick Groves in an Atlanta nightclub.
I just told them folks on TikTok, me and my buddy was in the club with him. And y'all know I play too much. I was like, hey, that nigga came from New Orleans prison right there. That nigga like, nah, that ain't him. I'm like, bro, that is him. He like, that ain't him. Man, I be damn, we wake up the next day with him. Didn't they have like a $50,000 reward out for this?
The specific date ain't totally clear, but based on the timeline, it was sometime in early October 2025, just a few days before Groves' arrest on October 7th, 8. Woody was out with a homie. He refers to him as his buddy or brother in the video, just doing what millions of people do every weekend, hitting up a club, trying to unwind, have some drinks, maybe enjoy some entertainment. Atlanta's club scene is legendary, especially the strip clubs, which have become as much a part of the city's cultural fabric as its music scene, no cap. And according to Woody's account, he's in this club, vibing hard, enjoying the atmosphere, when something catches his eye. There's somebody across the club, a tall dude, distinctive build, and Woody does a double take because this person looks eerily, impossibly familiar. And suddenly it clicks in Woody's mind. This looks exactly like Derrick Groves, the escaped prisoner, the dude whose face has been plastered across news broadcasts and social media for months, the man with a $50,000 bounty on his head. Now put yourself in Woody's shoes for a second, beloved. Your first thought is probably, nah, that can't be him. Why would a wanted fugitive be in a nightclub? That makes no sense whatsoever, which is apparently exactly what Woody's homeboy thought, because when Woody pointed it out, his buddy dismissed it straight up.
Me and my buddy was in the club with him. And y'all know I play too much. I was like, hey, that escaped from New Orleans prison right there. That nigga holler like, nah, that ain't him. I'm like, bro, that is him. He like, that ain't him.
But Woody was convinced, fam. He describes in his video how he watched this person just living their best life, ordering drinks, mingling, acting like they didn't have a care in the world, like there wasn't a massive federal manhunt looking for them. The audacity of it was almost impressive in a wild sort of way. Here's somebody who should be hiding in the shadows, keeping the lowest profile possible. And instead, they allegedly out in public, in a packed nightclub, surrounded by hundreds of people with smartphones, any one of whom could recognize them and end their freedom right then and there. When Woody posted this story to his Instagram on October 10th, 2025, just 3 days after Groves' eventual capture, the response was immediate and explosive as hell. The clip was short, under 40 seconds, but it packed enough punch to spread like wildfire across every social media platform imaginable. Major hip-hop media outlets like Daily Loud, XXL Magazine, and Academics TV picked it up and reposted it. Some people found it absolutely hilarious. The absurdity of a wanted fugitive just living it up in a club, the irony of Woody recognizing him but not calling the authorities, the sheer audacity of Groves' alleged behavior. Memes started flooding social media hard. People created edits of the arrest footage where Groves blows a kiss to the camera, juxtaposed with imagined footage of him in the club, with captions like, "You wanted by the FBI, but the DJ playing your favorite song," and "Fugitive flexing before the fall." The capture, the kiss, and the streets still talking. While the internet was going crazy debating Woody's actions and motivations, while memes was spreading and hot takes was flying, the actual story of how Derrick Groves got caught was unfolding in a way that was just as dramatic, and in some ways, even more revealing than Woody's nightclub tale. October 7th, 2025 started like any other day in Atlanta's Mechanicsville hood, until it very suddenly didn't. Residents would later describe hearing sirens everywhere, seeing armored SWAT vehicles rolling through streets that rarely saw that level of police presence, watching as tactical teams in full gear converged on a modest single-family home that had, up until that moment, been completely unremarkable and under the radar. According to Atlanta Police Deputy Chief Kelly Collier's post-raid briefing, the breakthrough in the Derrick Groves case came from something surprisingly mundane and hood as hell, a domestic dispute. Apparently, Groves and his girlfriend, the woman who had been harboring him during his months on the run, got into an argument. The details of what they was beefing about haven't been publicly disclosed, but speculation ran wild in the streets. Was it about another woman? Was Shorty upset that he had the audacity to go out partying while she was risking federal charges by hiding him? Had she just reached her breaking point with the stress of harboring a fugitive? Whatever the cause, the argument led to a phone call that would end Derrick Groves' time as a fugitive. The girlfriend called the police, yo. Whether she fully understood what she was doing, whether she realized she was turning in one of the most wanted fugitives in the country, or whether she just wanted cops to come deal with this domestic situation, is unclear. But once police showed up and ran Groves' information, everything escalated fast as hell. This wasn't just some domestic dispute no more. This was the capture of a dude who had been on the run for damn near 5 months, a man who had embarrassed law enforcement across multiple states, a man worth $50,000 in reward money. SWAT teams was called in heavy. The U.S. Marshals was notified immediately. The perimeter around the house was secured tight, and what followed was an hours-long standoff that had all the drama of a Hollywood production, except this was real life with real stakes and real consequences. Groves wasn't going to make this easy whatsoever. When officers surrounded the house and ordered him to surrender, he refused flat out. He had holed himself up in a cramped crawl space beneath the house, a dark, confined area that made it nearly impossible for officers to reach him without putting themselves at significant risk. Negotiators was brought in, trying to talk him into giving himself up peacefully, trying to convince him that this was the end of the line, that there was no way out. But Groves stayed put, defiant even as the walls, literally and figuratively, closed in around him. That's when they brought out the tear gas, fam. SWAT teams began pumping tear gas into the confined crawl space, trying to force Groves out without having to go in after him. If you never experienced tear gas before, let me tell you, it's absolutely brutal, beloved. It causes intense burning, sensations in your eyes, nose, throat, and lungs. It makes breathing feel impossible. Your eyes water uncontrollably. You cough until your chest hurts mad bad. It's designed to be so unpleasant, so overwhelmingly uncomfortable, that targets will choose surrender over enduring another second of exposure. After multiple deployments of tear gas and hours of standoff, Derrick Groves finally made his choice. He emerged from that crawl space, and the image that was broadcast across news channels and social media was striking. Groves came out shirtless, his 6'2" frame covered in dirt and grime from the crawl space, his eyes red and watering from the tear gas. His hands was quickly secured with zip ties behind his back, but there was something in his expression. Not quite defeat, but maybe resignation mixed with a hint of something else. Defiance, acceptance, relief that the chase was finally over. And then came the moment that would turn Derrick Groves into an unlikely meme. The moment that perfectly captured the bizarre, surreal nature of this entire saga. As officers was loading him into a patrol car, with news cameras rolling and capturing everything, Groves looked directly at the Fox 5 Atlanta news camera and blew a kiss. Just let that marinate for a second, yo. This man, who had just been captured after 5 months on the run, who was about to be extradited back to Louisiana to resume serving a life sentence without parole, who had tear gas still burning his eyes and dirt covering his body, took the time to blow a kiss to the camera. The gesture could be interpreted in so many ways. Was it defiance? Was it arrogance? Was it a final middle finger to the system that had finally caught him? Or was it something else? Maybe a message to somebody watching. Maybe a moment of dark humor from someone who knew his freedom was about to be measured in hours before he'd be back behind bars forever.
So Derrick Groves, the only inmate from the New Orleans prison that escaped, that, you know, kept his head low, and he was escaped and he was out for 145 days. He was actually finally captured yesterday. This was a picture of him being taken into custody. Now, the ironic situation around him being recaptured, and this is a video of him actually being put into the cop car, and while the video is on him, you see him wink to the camera. Oh, he blows a kiss to the camera. This is the look of a motherfucker who you could tell. I don't know what his charge is or when he was supposed to really get out, but he enjoyed every 145 minutes of that freedom, man. Not 45 minutes, every 145 days of that freedom.
The extradition hearing that followed was surprisingly brief. Groves appeared before Judge Wolf at Fulton County Jail, where his rights regarding extradition back to Louisiana was explained in detail. He could have fought it hard. He could have demanded hearings, hired lawyers, delayed the process for months, but he didn't do none of that.
Do you have any questions about your extradition rights? No. And do you want to challenge extradition, or do you want to return to Louisiana?
I want to return where I'm from.
You want to go back to Louisiana?
Yeah.
Okay.
Just like that, it was over, beloved. Groves waived his extradition rights and requested immediate return to Louisiana. No fighting, no appeals, no attempts to drag things out. Within days, he was transported back to Angola State Prison, the maximum security facility where he should have been sent years ago after his murder conviction, to resume serving his life sentence without the possibility of parole. But the story don't end with Groves' arrest and extradition, fam. The ripple effects continue to be felt across multiple levels. The girlfriend who called the police, later identified as being among those arrested for aiding the escapees, now faces her own legal battles for harboring a fugitive. Depending on how prosecutors decide to handle her case, she could be looking at serious prison time herself. The question of whether she's going to receive any portion of the $50,000 reward money remains up in the air, sparking debates in the hood about whether informants who was complicit in crimes should be eligible for rewards. There's also the broader issue of the Orleans Parish Justice Center and its catastrophic security failures. The fact that 10 inmates was able to escape from this facility in 2025 is an indictment of the entire system, straight up. Civil rights advocates and criminal justice reform groups have seized on this case as evidence that the facility needs to be completely overhauled or possibly shut down entirely. The escape cost taxpayers millions in manhunt expenses, put the public at risk, and exposed just how fundamentally broken Louisiana's correctional system really is. And then there's the cultural conversation that this case has sparked about snitching, about street code, about social media's role in modern hood justice. Lil Woody's claim about seeing Groves in the club has opened up debates that go far beyond just this one case. In an era where everybody got a smartphone and a social media account, where going viral can happen in seconds, where the line between civic duty and street loyalty is increasingly blurred, what are people's obligations when they encounter wanted fugitives? For Woody himself, the viral moment has been both a blessing and a curse, beloved. On one hand, his social media following exploded, with thousands of new followers checking out his Instagram and SoundCloud to hear his music and see what else he got to say. Some of his tracks have seen upticks in streams, exactly what any independent artist dreams of: visibility, attention, an opportunity to convert casual viewers into actual fans who are going to support the music. But on the other hand, he's faced significant backlash from people who view his post-arrest revelation as clout chasing at best and sneak snitching at worst. There's people in Atlanta's hip-hop community who have openly criticized him, questioned his street credentials, suggested that he violated codes that are taken very seriously in certain circles. Whether this is going to have long-term consequences for his music career remains to be seen, but it's clear the streets is divided on this one.
See, it easy to play on the stupid people. It easy to play on the stupid people, and that's a lot of y'all. A lot of y'all stupid. You feel what I'm saying? Y'all stupid because y'all allow them to play on y'all. But let me tell y'all something. Ain't no way in hell you escape prison like that and go ghost. Nobody don't have a clue where you at. Nobody. You tell me the government didn't know where you at?
As for Derrick Groves, he now back at Angola State Prison, where he'll likely spend the rest of his life. Angola, also known as the Farm, is one of America's most notorious prisons, an 18,000-acre former slave plantation that now houses roughly 6,000 inmates, most serving life sentences. It's a place where hope goes to die, where the daily grind of prison life stretches out into eternity. Groves had 5 months of freedom, 5 months where he tasted life outside those walls, where he made his own choices, where he apparently felt comfortable enough to allegedly go to a nightclub and party like he didn't have the FBI looking for him. Now those 5 months are over, and the reality of life without parole has set in hard. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed watching this video, click on one of the boxes playing on your screen to watch more similar content.